I don't make mistakes. I'm not just like the rest of you. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better. I'm not some weak-kneed fucking crybaby that goes around fucking apologizing all the time. And why the fuck would you want me to be?
Oh, good morning, afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever the case may be. Welcome back to another episode of I Don't Know What the Fuck I'm Doing. I'm your host, iChrisPanda, filled with nothing but dread and stupidity. Yeah, we're here today. We don't know what we're doing. I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't have a plan. But today we chilling. We big chilling. Essentially, we're getting to a point where, yeah, my plan went out the window. The plan for yesterday was to play Def Jam Icon. Crashed on us. Game sucked anyway. Perfectly fine. Moving forward, I was like, cool, today was going to be a continuation of that. Since it crashed yesterday, I don't know what to do. It was more so kind of just like, oh, fuck, okay, now we're here, and where do we go from here? And I'm in that position again. It's a big toss-up to see where I land in terms of making the content for this week. Just because I knew once Def Jam finished, I was probably going to lead into something else. But I wasn't 100% sure what that would be. So I knew that going into today was going to be kind of just like a whatever sort of vibe. But at the very least, you know, I got tons of things I can play, got tons of things I should play. I could just sit and chat. It's very possible to just do that and have no issues. It's pretty fantastic. But the caveat is that in doing so, I'd have to figure out what is going to be best for myself and everyone around me. And yeah, we'll just see. Because we don't know. I did, however, look into potentially more speed runs, just because I've been thinking about it. I went back to my speedrun.com page. I remember speedrunning KO 14, doing very well on that, getting first place in 2 categories for it. And I said, man, I probably should look into doing the same thing for 15, and then maybe the same thing for 13. There's just kind of like this feeling of like, I got a couple things. I even looked into running TMNT Shredder's Revenge, so I might do that. I'm really big into things that kind of make me a little happy at the moment. So we're just going to figure it out. So as we figure it out, I just kind of want to take this time to go over just life. Just life. Just because even though, like, right now in Twitch chat, there's, like, nobody here. You know, it's the perfect time for me to kind of bullshit and talk my way into any sort of shoot or any sort of feeling, whatever the case may be. There are times in life where you know what you want and you get it and you dismiss it. You keep feeling like, is this it? Is this the plan? Is this what I want? And you keep pushing it to the side. instead of instead of trusting fate. And then as time goes on, things get bad, and then you push the blame onto that. And it's really, really disgusting, really upsetting, because not everything has to revolve around that. Not everything has to be that way, but you kind of put yourself into that position. So you sit there and you wonder, who's at fault? And you can't put yourself at fault because you feel like it's not my fault. You don't immediately jump to it's my fault. You jump to putting the blame onto somebody else before you start making not accusations, but like proper internalization of like, what's the big deal? What's the issue? Who's in the right? Who's in the wrong? You start trying to like process everything to figure out the primary narrative of where your life is, where it's headed, and how things should or shouldn't be. So there comes a point where you look at everything and you feel so built up into this one position that no matter how you feel, that's going to be like the end all be all. So you start shifting it and you start putting blame on other people, blame on certain things. And it's a horrible way to live. It really is. Because you're not taking any self worth. You're not taking any point to be like, oh, okay, not self-worth, but you're not taking any accountability for yourself, for your actions. So instead of feeling like you did something wrong, it's always them. What's even worse is if you put yourself into this scenario and then you tell this to the wrong people. You could surround yourself with people that say they have your best interest in heart. They literally care about you and what's going to be best for you. But in actuality, they're the ones who only care about you. And I don't mean care about you in a sense of, oh, they care about what you think and how you feel. No, they care about making you a part of their story in the way that they want. It's called molding and shaping somebody. This is what predators do to younger generations. This is why R. Kelly is such a bad person, right? Not just because he is a pedophile, but because he's molding young women to be basically a part of his love operations, because I don't want to escalate it even further than that. People do this without even thinking they're doing it. Persistence is one thing. Sometimes they're around consistently and you enable them and you don't think about it. Or they consistently say or do something in action until it becomes a reality. There's a Family Guy joke that I will always remember and never forget. And it was 30 no's and a yes means yes. And it was a joke about some celebrity. And in that sense, it was horrible. It's funny because of the execution that they did it, but it's still the idea of 30 no's and a yes means yes. All you have to do is say yes one time to somebody you said no to 30 times because they kept doing something and you've let them in. This is how sometimes people get into a job industry. You know, they get denied, but then they persist. They persist and they work harder and they try harder. And then they get to a position where, oh, success is on their side. And then they can move forward in their career path. Cool. That's persistence. That's being mindful of like, okay, you're not trying to harm anybody. You're not trying to take anybody down, but you want to let people know that you're extremely interested. But then there are those who are like, their persistence, they don't care who they hurt as long as they get what they want. This is how it is in not only a friendship sense, but in a romantic sense. So if you overly flirt with somebody and you tell them no over and over and over and over and over again, no, you're not somebody that I'm looking for. No, we're not this, we're not that, we're not this, we're not that. And you tell them no, and then eventually something in your life says, it goes from the list they'll meter saying no, it's like tinging over just a little bit. You gave them all they want. You may have been enabling them by not like pushing them further away and letting them persist with their actions. And in doing so, you've made it easier for them to become a part of your life. And the worst part is sometimes it's good. Sometimes it pays off and that you just finally let the person in that you felt like was needed at the time. But in actuality, you only did this because it was easiest. It's easiest to do some things. Sometimes you just do things without thinking about them so much. It just happens. Sometimes your actions just go unnoticed or unchecked and are just actions. You don't look at them as anything other than just like, these are just actions. Because you're just like, okay, I'm just going to move forward. I'm not trying to be like aggressive or rude. I'm just doing what I think might be good for the moment. And they could transpire into something greater. Or you keep suppressing emotions. And if you keep suppressing emotions instead of like letting them happen, then you're also harming yourself as well. Because then you're second guessing not only yourself, but the person that's been trying as well. You're second guessing them. And then alternatively, you're causing them to second guess. Like if somebody is like trying to advance and you say that you want them to, and you give them the ability to believe that they could, if you don't allow the chance to happen, but you keep leading them on to believe that it could happen, then you're harming them mentally and spiritually. You're giving them something that makes them feel like, oh, there's a goal in mind and there's something that could happen. It's that same idea of persistence. And you don't have to be rude about the persistence. It's just something that can happen. This is the idea of like, oh, I don't know where to go from here. I don't know what to do from here. Because you're enabling an action, you're enabling a thought process, you're enabling something in your mind and in your soul to feel like you could do something bigger, something better. But in actuality, it never goes further because you don't want to enable that thing to happen. This is the problem. Sometimes you have to be willing to speak out your actions. You have to talk about these things, or else you're going to enable things that could end up in a bad result in the future. And right now it could feel like it's perfectly fine. Right now it could feel like it's perfectly great and there's no issues. But there's always the instance of like, oh no, it could get worse. Something you've learned about certain people that you need to keep around you. Not even, like I said, not in a romantic sense, not in a friendship sense, but just in general. Keep the people around you who challenge you. Keep the people around you who keep your mind going, damn, am I doing something wrong with my life? Or am I like, should I be complacent? Keep the people who want you to be better and bigger in every step of the way. There's never an instance where I looked at my people, my peers, my friends, and I don't want them to grow beyond what they even think they are at. If you feel like you're stagnant or you feel like you're not getting to a place of success, you can get to a place of success. If I feel like I can do that, then I feel like the same should be said for everybody around me. I should never be sitting in a point where it feels much worse to sit and do nothing than have done something, or have done something than to sit and do nothing. That flip side of each coin is detrimental to everybody's life. Like you have to sit there and ask yourself, what am I doing and what's my purpose in life? My purpose in life is, I've never thought about what my actual purpose in life. My purpose in life could be a guiding light to those around me, to challenge those to be better than what they were, to take everything I have for myself and want to be better, to entertain and inspire. I think that's a good thing to look at. I think to entertain and inspire is something that I strive for, something that I want. I remember wanting to be a media journalist when I was in high school, but this was when, like, I'm not gonna say X-Play was at its peak, but it was something that was still fresh in my mind. It was still something that was like, damn, this is a series that, like, at the time was something groundbreaking. There was nothing like that on television at the time. There was nothing on television that was like, this is a show by gamers for gamers. And I knew video games were moving in a rapidly evolving pace to a point where, like, video games are the multi-billion-dollar industry that they are today. What up, Nikki? How you doing? And I knew that if I hopped on that train, then I could be in a great place of success. But I'm kind of glad I did and didn't do that. Like I did, because I went to college for various like media things. But I didn't like hop on it to follow that trend again. But I knew that my purpose could be to inspire and entertain. I hop on here and I've entertained a lot of people. I've entertained not only just like comedically, good gameplay, but like entertain somebody's thoughts, somebody's heart, you know? Like there are people that have come in my life that have used me. Big people. How you feeling today? Pretty samey from yesterday. Not like horrible, just pretty samey, if that makes sense. But the idea is that I've been used in ways that some people don't think that they've been used, if that makes sense. There comes a point where people feel like they've been used and be like, they used me for money, or they used my emotions as weakness, or something along those lines, right? Thank you, Nathan. I have used people for help more than anything. There are times where I never want people to help me because I'm like, you know what? I'll feel like I can handle it. And if I genuinely ask you, then that means I need your help. That means I 100% need your help, and I hate doing it. It really is something that I hate to do. Fuck, I think I gotta go out today. I'll try it tomorrow. But it's something where it's like you really gotta feel like you need others. Like the human body yearns for physical interaction. I'm sorry, not even just physical interaction. I mean like human interaction. It yearns for the idea that we need to speak with others, communicate, enjoy each other's company. And we live in a world where now the virtual space is like such an easy way to get that. And it wasn't always like this. I want to keep in mind that like back in the day when I was like just kind of like around and watching like Evo 2011, it wasn't a Twitch. It was like Justin.tv. And the only interaction that people had was when we would go out and we would like meet up with people. And some people don't have the liberties of being able to go out and meet up with people easily. So this is how you meet up with people. This is how you get to know people, learn people, and enjoy people's companies. And sometimes somebody like me who has never had to like make this a top priority don't understand that. We live in such a interesting age now, a digital age now, that there is no hiding anything. There's no hiding anything. And it's such a weird thing to go off. You become more vulnerable, but you also become more open. Like, I'm a much more open person as a result. And I'm not like shying away from that. And I'm not afraid of that either. People will tell you that if you talk to me in person, I'm generally the same. I'm generally the same person who will literally open up and talk about their life and their history and everything that's happened. Because these aren't like points of contention in my life where I feel fucking terrible. It's points of contention in my life where it's like, I want you to remember what happened to me so that you can A, feel like you're not alone, or B, feel like you don't have to make mistakes that I've done. I'm not even that old, but I feel like, you know, people make mistakes, but they're also lessons to teach others, you know? Young kids don't understand that. I didn't understand it when I was younger, that when somebody's telling me don't do this or don't do that, it's not just because they know it's not good or it's not what you should be doing. It's because they probably have done something like that in their lives. People tell you don't take drugs, right? And you still take drugs? You know why people tell you don't take drugs? Because they know it's bad. Don't drink. They're telling you to do that because it's bad. Some people will tell you drink more water, and you don't do it. Why don't you do it? Because you feel like you don't like it. But the properties of water are much better than drinking like soda or juice every single day. Juice is good. It has a lot of antioxidants and properties in it that'll be good for your body and soul. But you still have to drink water. You still have to drink water. And drinking more water is actually much better for you than drinking like a huge bottle of like apple juice or something like that. Apple juice is bullshit. Apple juice is huge bullshit, and nobody wants to believe it. Well, actually, people do believe it. That's a lie. People do believe that apple juice is bullshit because apple juice is filled with sugar to no extent, which is why it's like, oh, it's sweet as shit. It's kind of the reason why you can buy a Snapple apple and it replicates the taste of an apple because it's like pear juice and sugars and shit. It's not real. But there's something to be said where it's like you have to start believing that everything has a purpose and everything has a reason, and you have to start listening to certain things. Not everything, but certain things. And there's a reason why I'm so open on social media. I explain and express myself. I explain and express myself so frequently and so openly because I don't have much to anything to hide whatsoever. If people want to directly ask me something, I'll probably openly tell them. And it has nothing to do with me wanting to like throw somebody under the bridge or look at somebody negatively, because even the stuff that has happened to me recently or in the past that has been bad is a life lesson. And I view these people with no negativity in my mind because they're not the evil people that my heart wants to believe them to be or something like that. Sometimes they're just misguided. Sometimes they're just not in the right space. And sometimes they are bad. Like the woman in my life mistreated me since I was a kid. And I always thought that way. Did the same thing to her family. Deserved to be shut off. Deserved to be shut off. People like Big Cheese. I said things to him. Things to him that I felt like in my heart at the time were like justified. And when I try to apologize to him, I get shunned and I get talked about behind my back on social media by his little cohorts. So I knew I just had to leave him be. I made the effort to want to be better, and it just didn't happen. I had a friend literally call me out, or I literally called her out because she was trying to tear away me and one of my best friends since like grade school. An altercation happened where I just went out of town and it was like, how come you didn't invite me or him? And it was like, oh, we tried to invite him. And you know, just wasn't around. Just didn't happen. Nothing against him, just didn't happen. And then she kept trying to include herself into it. Then we got into a scuffle. And then I ended up like talking to him. And he's like, yeah, she kept doing this and that. And I'm like, word. So then when I approached her about it with him, she was literally going against everything. He even said, we were on the phone together. It's like, he was like, yeah, you told me this. She's like, no, I didn't. And I was like, he's like, I got proof for it. It's like, so what's your excuse? She didn't have any excuses. So I had to cut ties with her. I was like, you literally, and then you went on the record to continually talk shit. And I was just like, I can't. Even dating back so far, I was like, yeah, I don't have a father because it's like, just was never there. I've had father figures, older gentlemen that have been around in my life that have been very motivational for the time frame to put me into the right path, to give me the right idea and mindset. But it's always like there is a point of contention to be made where you learn from everything that you do. And yeah, I've learned a lot. I've learned so much because there isn't an instance where I have to sit back and fear the unknown or fear what I'm going to do or what I'm going to say. Because if I closed mouth don't get fed. The squeaky wheel is the loudest. If there's an issue, I want to resolve the issue. I always do. If there's something that needs to be said, I want to say it. There are things in my chest right now that I want to get the fuck off that it would be in bad taste to do. And I've been told by others around me, don't do it. So, bite my tongue. There isn't an instance where I need to like there isn't an instance where it's like I need to like not talk. Cause it's like I'm not gonna like sugarcoat shit and I'm gonna give everything on my end. This is why I'm like, if you have an actual issue with me, talk to me. Talk to me level-headed. Talk to me without the influence of others behind you. Talk to me with the full understanding that I can speak to you accordingly. Do not come to me aggressively, even if it doesn't sound like you're yelling at me or screaming at me or whatever. If you come to me with an aggressive underlying tone, I can pick up on that. I can feel the emotion of somebody else. Then we're not going to go anywhere. There isn't going to be any ground gain. However, if you come at me and you're like, okay, I've learned to accept the outcome either way, but I need to know it for my own clarification, then everybody can like win off of that, because then everybody can be potentially happy with whatever the outcome is. That's the way I've felt. That's the way I've lived my life to believe that. Why should I sit back and feel horrendous, potentially, when I know that I probably did nothing wrong? Or better yet, I'm willing to admit my faults. I'm willing to admit my faults, move on from them, and learn from them, and adapt. And there's a lot of people who will say they'll do it, don't ever do it, and don't want to do it. Or don't want to do it, I'm sorry. Everything that has happened with me in the past year was something that I learned from, and if I've made a mistake from, I wanted to change and correct it. It's called course corrective action. It's literally how it is. If I don't talk to you enough, I change that so I make it so that I talk to you. If I feel like I was not being polite or respectful enough, I changed that and made a point of contention. If I feel like I wasn't giving you the proper attention when you feel like you needed it, I changed that so I could be something that you could look into. If I felt like I wasn't putting enough effort into doing a teamwork, made sure to change that. If I felt like I wasn't letting you know that you're slipping and falling, made sure to change that to make sure it's better. There's no sense in saying something to nobody and not doing anything. The problem is now people have so much liberty to like say, I'm gonna take a step back, and if I just eradicate it from my mind and say, I'm gonna take a step back, remove everything, and as long as it's not there anymore, I don't think about it. But the problem is you build up memories, you build up bonds, you build up connections, you build up so many instances that happen in your head that once it happens, it's happened. It's gonna take a long time to forget about something. The thing with me and Cheese, that thing happened 2-3 years ago. 2-3 years ago. And I still think about it. It doesn't go away. As many times as somebody's like, oh, you can just remove somebody with your life and just move on. Just move on. It's so much easier said than done. Because in order for you to move on, you have to, one, look for closure, and two, look for something to replace that feeling. And when that feeling is still there, in some way, shape, or form, you always have to look over your shoulder. You always have to look over your shoulder because you never know what the fuck instance you're getting into. You could have been in an abusive relationship where you felt like this person literally looked at you and said, I'm going to treat you like dirt. I'm going to say I love you, and I'm going to say I'm going to do all these things, and the next thing you know, I'm going to treat you like complete shit. So what happens is you go into another relationship. You go into another relationship, and you say you forgave that person, and you moved on, and you feel like you're a stronger, better person for it. But in actuality, that person is still holding onto your heartstrings and is still ripping you down from the inside. And the problem is that you are still not emotionally focused on that as much as you think you are, but it's still always ever present in the back of your mind. So when you go to somebody else, you view them as a bar to try and not have that happen again. So when something happens that you don't agree with, you fall back and say they did all these bad things and they're very similar to the last thing. But in actuality, it was never that. It could have been your mental headspace, and you could have made a mountain out of a molehill. This is the problem. This is the problem with life as we know it. And the problem with life as we know it is that sometimes we're willing to want to change and want to adapt and become better people. But the problem is, I'm keeping it on this song. The problem is that because of that, it's really difficult to want to move past where we're at. We're not into this headspace of being the perfect person. I don't want anybody to ever think I found the perfect person. I'm going to find the perfect person. You'll never find the perfect person. There's no such thing as a perfect person. I'm not perfect. She's not perfect. He's not perfect. They're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. That's the first step to actually accepting anyone into your life. Relationship-wise, friendship-wise. Some people are looking for the perfect friends to be there for you and boost your head up. And the problem is, those aren't perfect friends either. If you have friends that are there for you 100% and say they love you and they care for you, they fit one part of the bill. If your friends are also telling you that you can do whatever and they feel like they believe in you, they fit another bill. But you really, and I honest to God believe this, you need friends who are going to tell you the fuck like it is. You need friends who are not just going to be like, well, you know, it's going to be fine. You'll be fine. No, you need friends who be like, well, you know, maybe they were right and you're wrong. The moment you got friends who are telling you you're wrong, and like in bigger picture sense, you got fucking golden friends there. You have friends that are literally looking out for every asset of your life, because you need to not have such a tunnel vision. You need to not have such a narrow mindset going into anything. You could have started a new job and be like, oh, I hate this job. They want me to do this and they want me to do that, and I don't want to do it. I want to sit around and bake cookies. But in actuality, it's best that you have the people around you that say, you know what? I hear you. I do hear you. I hear you completely. But what if they're doing this so they can make the rest of your time there easier? Cool. That makes sense. Then your mindset shifts. Your mindset could be so far left brain that the right side of your brain gets eclipsed. So it's like, that's when you have to like look at it as like, oh shit, somebody puts a better thing into reality. And then you start after looking at it differently. But what if the manager wants to see what you can do? It depends on what the situation is. If the manager wants to see what you can do and he's just a person, that means that he's looking into what are your best quality assets for a company. That's different. That's different than a friendship. That's different than a relationship. That's just business. That's just business. And sometimes your manager can be your friend. They really can. I can tell you that I've literally made best friends out of people that were my former managers. But sometimes you have to look at it like, yo, my manager just wants to know what the deal is. You know what I'm saying, J.O.? It's like nobody's looking out for themselves all the time. Sometimes they're looking out for, especially like if you're in a managerial sense, for like work, they're asking you what to do or what you can do because you're a part of their bottom line. If they don't reciprocate that same energy that you put in, that's some questionable shit, you know? That means it's like, why am I putting in all of the brunt of the effort and I see you do nothing? You know, that's questionable. And you know what? That's the same type of mindset to have when looking at like a relationship or a friendship. You know, if someone wants you to talk to them consistently, so that's an all-encompassing thing. If someone wants you to talk to them consistently, or someone wants you to act consistently, and you do that, but they can't reciprocate it, it's a questionable thing. If you're going through a rough time and they're going through a rough time, right? And you're available for their beck and call, and you handle it no issue, but they don't reciprocate it and do the same, that's questionable material. That's one of those things where you look at people and say, why did you do this, and why couldn't I get the same reaction when I did it to you? Oh, because you felt like I'd want that. No. It's like sometimes it's like, you know, I'm going through something and there's issues everywhere. But it's like I know how to handle everything. There's always something to be said. Hung out with y'all. I'm busy. And I'm busy every day. I stream every single day. Ain't nothing crazy, J.O. Ain't nothing crazy. Today I just don't know what to do. Didn't know what to do. Still don't know what to do. Just kind of living, vibing, kind of just talking about just life, you know. Kind of getting everything off my chest, because it's, you know, sometimes it's like, sometimes they're great and I have plans and I go into it and I'm like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And then sometimes it's just like, I don't have shit to do. Today's one of those days where I don't really have shit to do, but I have a lot on my mind. A lot on my mind about just like people and connections, you know? Because it's like I've made connections with a lot of people. Offline, online. Twitch is an interesting platform. And I feel like because of that, it's like cool. Like I've talked to people through some dating apps and it's just like, it's cool. Like, that's literally about it. But it's like, I'm not like, I don't know. I'm in a position where it's like, my like I tell people all the time, my past phrase, don't let past fears dictate your future. Don't let past fears dictate your future. The past is always something that you're forever going to be fearful of. Not in the sense that like you're afraid of it repeating itself, because then there's the phrase, history repeats itself, which it does. But sometimes you think history will repeat itself. So then you let that fear of it repeating itself interrupt the ebb and flow of what life could be. That's the deeper mindset. That's not even just the mindset of like a person. That's a business fear too. You know what I mean? There's a reason why I think Marvel versus Capcom is one of my favorite franchises. It's one of my favorite franchises. Marvel 1 did pretty well. Marvel 2 didn't do well immediately. It was kind of this huge asset dump of gameplay, of characters, and people thought it was really crappy until they started playing it. And then it became renowned and almost cult-like. It had a cult following, and it blew up. It came out, wasn't fantastic. People looked at it and said, oh, okay. But then it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then Marvel 2 became like this upper echelon fighting game. So it had a legacy behind it that was just monumental. And people wanted it so much to come back that when they brought it back to 360 and PS3, it sold like gangbusters. Sold extremely well. And then Marvel 3 happened because of that. And Marvel 3 did very well, but because of the whole Marvel licensing issue, it kind of shot itself in the foot too soon. It shot itself in the foot too soon, and they released Ultimate Marvel less than 9 months after the release of Marvel 3. And it really like destroyed them. The game didn't do that well, Ultimate Marvel, I should say. But over time it did. It outsold vanilla. And Capcom had never seen anything like that. I'm over here punching his mic stand or his mic arm. And it's something that's like, damn, that's crazy. So when they made Marvel Infinite, I think they were afraid. They were afraid that they were going to end up with another failure like Ultimate Marvel on their hands for launch. And that's not even just that game, but they also had like Cross Tekken come out, and that like left a sour note on a lot of people. And then Street Fighter V Vanilla came out, and that left a sour note for people. So it's like, holy shit. They had a fear of repeating just the release of fighting games. And then what happened with Marvel Infinite? They released that demo, did horrible, and especially because there was a comparable game at the time in Dragon Ball, which was like Marvel 3, but anime. And it was using one of the biggest properties known to man, not even just a Marvel property, because Marvel's big. Don't get it wrong, Marvel is a very big property. But Dragon Ball is a property that's transcending anime as a whole. It's not even just an anime. It's a cartoon, and it has a lineage and a legacy behind it. So when you look at like the comparison, that's when you go, damn, Dragon Ball really fucked up Marvel Infinite. Marvel Infinite had really great gameplay, really good, interesting, dynamic gameplay changes that made you ever present on what was happening on screen, and you had to pay attention, and it's super dynamic and fun as shit. But the package itself was kind of represented poorly with horrible graphics, bad DLC issues, marketing that didn't make sense. It was just one thing after another, and it really shot itself in the foot and put the fear in Capcom, put the fear in them. And that's the fear that you were going to do. And it's because they were afraid they were going to do the same thing again. They didn't outsource it back to aiding. They did it all internally, and they were afraid. They were afraid. That's like life. You'll get afraid. You'll become very mindful of what happened. So mindful of what happened in every way, shape, or form that you're always going to be afraid of repeating the same thing. But then the problem is you also get put into a position where it's like, who do you trust? And trust is a word that is fickle. I think trust is super fickle. I think it's a meaningful thing to a lot of people. I gotta have trust. I want trust. I want nothing but trust. Trust is bullshit. It's bullshit. And here's why it's bullshit. Your opinion of trust could change on a moment's notice. Someone else's opinion could also change on a moment's notice. Because the idea of trust isn't exactly always what you make of it. Why should someone be trusting of you when you're not trusting of them? Why is there an instance where you feel like you want to provide nothing but trust to somebody and you instill your trust into them, but then you feel like they disobeyed your trust the moment something goes awry? It's a very common occurrence that happens more frequently with people than they'd be willing to admit. And as a result, it makes everybody look bad because there is no one right way versus one wrong way sort of vibe. Why does it feel that way? Why do you sit there and you think to yourself, damn, I gave you all my trust. I had all this belief in you. And then next thing you know, poof, it was gone. It was gone because you let it to be gone. Did you ever think to just ask somebody something? No? Then that's where your trust went. Your trust went away with you, not with them. Sometimes if you don't speak about something, the actions that somebody may take may seem like they're not disobeying trust until you make it apparent to them much later down the line. How would anybody know? And then by that point, you've already made up your mind and you put yourself into a negative connotation. You led yourself into a position where it doesn't make sense. In the words of some of my wrestling buddies, you worked yourself into a shoot. And sometimes it wasn't just your own mental like palace or the hellscape that is your mind that did that. It is sometimes the company you keep. I used to keep a very large arrangement of people that I would just kind of like casually talk to, and then some that I would really talk to. It's like a bit of column A and a bit of column B, and that it went from like this big, huge circle to being really condensed, and it really got more condensed because I didn't feel the need to keep these many people in my circle. The people that are in my circle are the people who have been around me for a long time. They've been around me for a long time. A couple years to even further than that. But that's where my trust was gained. I realized that these are the people that I can confide in, and they're not going to like look at me differently. They're not going to look at me and say, oh, I don't want to have what's best for you. I'm not going to tell you what's best for you, and I'm not going to talk to you if something is wrong. You have to keep those people around you. You have to keep those people around you who literally want nothing more than the best for you, because that's what they want, man. They're not lying to you. They're not telling you something that you don't want to hear. They're telling you something that you need to hear, you know? They're telling you things where it's like, oh, you shouldn't be afraid to take a chance. They're telling you things like, oh, you shouldn't be so down on yourself. They're telling you everything. Not just if you look at something negatively towards somebody and you give them a little piece of the pie instead of the whole fucking pie, and they just take your side. Like, why the fuck would you ever believe fully in somebody else that you barely spent time with versus somebody else that you spent more time with? It's because you're just afraid. You're afraid. You're afraid of so much, and we're all afraid. There isn't a day that goes by where I'm not afraid of something else. Some days I'm afraid of fucking waking up. Life is so fucking short that creating a bond with anybody should be cherished and should be accepted. There's never an instance where I want to remove or eradicate somebody from my life. And even once I do it, I feel fucking awful. I really mean that. Because I know that before that, there was nothing wrong. There was just a flick of the switch that happened. And I can pinpoint what happens when those flick of the switches happen. Me and Cheese, I knew what the fuck happened. It wasn't just because he started getting bigger with Markiplier and T-Pain. No. It's because he let certain people into his circle that he shouldn't have let into his circle. His outlook on people started looking differently. And even then, there was an instance where he just stopped communicating. That's how a friendship died. A friendship died. You stop communicating, and when I want to question your not loyalty, but your personal take and personability on how you react to others, it's like, it was fucking questionable. That's why when he started talking shit about people that I was cool with, I didn't like it. I didn't like it because they didn't do anything to... They may have done something to him, and I have no fault with that. But they didn't do anything to be put in a sense of objectification in front of a grand audience. And that's what triggered me. But when I know that I do something wrong, when I do something wrong and somebody calls me out on it, I'm willing to take accountability. I'm willing to take accountability because not only, even if I don't feel like I did something wrong, I should be mindful of your emotions as a person. Be like, okay, I hear where you're coming from, and I apologize if that upset you. I apologize if that made you feel uncomfortable. I apologize if I said something that you didn't necessarily agree with, but at the same time, you have to make the effort to tell me these things, or else it's gonna be left unnoticed. It's gonna be left unchecked. It's gonna be left unresolved. And then there's the instance of like, I do expect the same in return. You know, there's a reason why it's like, I don't want to burn bridges. I've never wanted to burn a bridge. I'm still like, at this point in my life, I am on the fuck you if you're not with me shit. And I mean that shit. But there's always been an instance where there's people who have been with me and supported the fuck out of me and the people around me. And you want to leave. And you want to leave, and the reason why makes no fucking sense. That's where it starts getting bad. That's where my mental is like, you're leaving for no reason. Exactly. If you don't check yourself when you mess up, you'll never grow. There are still people to this day, people who are older than me, older than Nikki, older than Crip, older than whoever, that I know of, that are like 60, close to 70 maybe. And when they fuck up, they still think they did nothing wrong. And they think it's everybody else. This is the woman that told you that her family abandoned her. Left her out and said they're not fucking with her no more. And they're not fucking with her because they realize that she has this closed mindset. And I even talked to one of the family's friends, one of my best friends, and said, I could forgive and forget if they actually believe that they did something wrong. That's how I move on. Is it going to be easy for me? No, but they have to admit their faults. I could at least be like, well, they understand that they were not the perfect person, and that they pushed everybody away, and they apologized for it. They realized that they said these negative things and that something was wrong and that they shouldn't have done so, and they apologized for it. This is how I accepted people. I've accepted people in my life in the past that said, yeah, I said some things about you and I realized this and I apologize for it. I was in a different mindset. And I realized I should have not been in that mindset, and I'm bettering myself now as a result for it. That is fine by me. That means you're willing to change. You're willing to adapt, and you're willing to become better for it. So that leads me to other people. And it's like, I know my faults. I know where I'm at. And if I tell you that I'm willing to admit my faults, move on and move forward, but you still want to cling on to it, then that means you never want to move on past it. That means that there's never going to be another chance because you feel like your mind is already made up. And that's a shame. And I don't think that this is something where it's like your mind is made up because of that. I feel like your mind is made up because just outside sources. Especially because if you were doing something differently in the past and you acted differently and there was like an issue before, and then you're like, okay, I can move forward. To now where it's like, I don't want to move forward. Somebody's telling you to move forward. Somebody's telling you to forget, you know? Like if you've ever had a friend that literally says, fuck them, you don't need them. Fuck them. Move on. Fuck them. Sometimes they're saying it to make you feel better. Because there are people who will tell you that with the mindset of like, if you say fuck them and move forward, you can start beginning to live your life. Very true statement. Very understandable statement. Very relatable statement. With that in mind, it's like, of course, I can move on. You know what happened during my whole situation for like the past couple months? I was dealing with bullshit. I was dealing with shit that didn't make any fucking sense to me. Still doesn't make sense to me. Still sits with me right here. But because of that, I was inspired. My whole decor has changed. My mindset has changed. My whole idea of how I can move forward with my content has changed. And I love it. I love it because it gives me another drive. It gives me more passion again, because it's like I know that I could go forth and do something crazy and do something like this. This is early days for me right now. I'm on day 6 of 325 days. I hope it's not a fucking leap year. I didn't check February. I don't think it is. I think that happens every 4 years, and I'm pretty sure it's 2023, which means I don't have to worry about that. But it's the idea that I could come on stream and be relatable to people. There are so many people out there who are just sad. Like, you ever wake up fucking sad and don't know why? So have I. You ever wake up sad and know why? And you don't want to fuck with nobody? So have I. But you know the problem is that some people wake up depressed, they wake up sad, and they don't want to fuck with nobody. And yet they still do. Because they feel like eventually it'll just go away. They don't want to handle the issue. They don't, fuck it. Who cares? If I keep talking long enough to people around me about something different, then my emotions will be suppressed. Sure. That's a logical mindset to have, but in actuality, it never works. Because all you're doing is putting a layer of fluff on top of it, and then once you get past the fluff, it's back again. This is why resolution needs to happen. And when things don't actually properly get resolved, they wind up in such a negative space that they don't ever get resolved. This is how both parties continually think about the same thing. There's a reason why, through the BS that I've had, I'm still thinking about it. There's a reason why I'm certain that they're also still thinking about it. To the extent that I am, maybe not. Maybe so. But they have something to suppress it. My suppression is this. And I can't stream all day because on top of me streaming, I have content that I have to push out. I have content that I want to push out. Like I got a short from yesterday lined up. Was it a good short? Not really, but I think it's an enjoyable one. I have a whole Twitter thing I can put up. I got a TikTok thing I can put up. I'm trying to get my interactions up. I'm trying to get my foot traffic up. I'm trying to get people to want to, more than just the people that have been rocking with me, to come into my stream. I'm trying to make myself known. I'm trying to get myself out there. I'm trying to be the person that I said I was gonna be last year and ended up not doing. I'm changing that. I'm making a personal change to be bigger and better than what I was. And yes, part of it is a little vindictive. Part of it is a little like, ha, I told you so sort of thing that I want to do. That's part of it. But the other part is all personal. I'm going to keep it 100% with you. When it comes to making this content shit, there's always the idea of there's a time frame on it. And it doesn't have to be. I've seen people be like grandmothers, grandfathers, stream themselves playing Warzone or Call of Duty, just being the fucking tits at the game. Being the absolute best at the game. And they continually do it. And why does this matter? It matters because so much of like the time spent to do this is so draining. And I'm not even doing it to the full capacity that I see other people doing. Some people literally come on, they make a video and they put up like 3 videos a day, or make 3 videos a day, 2 video releases a day, 3 TikToks, 3 shorts, 3 reels a day, you know, and they're just going ham. At the very least, I'm putting up a VOD a day because I'm putting up yesterday's VOD on YouTube. Or every morning. You missed yesterday's VOD, you can go on my YouTube right now and watch it. It's perfect. ! YouTube. You can go on, you can go through the links as well, ! Links on Twitch. You'll be able to find it. I even highlighted a segment of me talking shit about Def Jam Icon from yesterday. Because that's something where it's like, I realized, oh, I can delete the VOD. But I can also make highlights of the VOD that matters to me. And I feel like that's important. I feel like it's very important to have that thought process and be forthright in wanting to make the most out of your time on this platform. Because on Twitch, it's a fickle audience. Much like trust, it's very fickle. What up, Edmund? Twitch has an audience where it's like, they come and they go. Some people come in and rock with you for a long fucking time, and they continue to rock with you. And I love it. There's people like Nikki and J-Hole and Edmund on Twitch who show up all the time, and I'm happy that they rock with me and they rock with the people that I rock with. But sometimes it's just hard. Yeah, I feel it. I feel it, Nikki. Sometimes you get drained every day, and you know, it takes a lot. Streaming is not... There's a reason why I think RPG said it's like, yo, as soon as the stream come off, you scratch your balls, you go take a shit, you go eat. And there's a reason why, like, me and Boss have literally streamed. Stream goes off, we just sit there and just be like, and we talk for like 5 minutes. We talk, and then we like, shit, it's late. All right, y'all, I'm going to bed. Yo, Fridays, I wish some of y'all could hear literally how me, Crip, and Boss talk to each other. Especially if we were all awake at the same time, we'd be like, Crip would be the first one to leave. He got that old man energy in him. He's like, all right, I'm going to bed. All right, click. Me and boss will sit there and chat. He talk about his raid. He be like, man, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do with these kids, man. I'm tired of shit. I got so much to work tomorrow, and the stream tomorrow. And I'm like, yeah, I feel you. And then he bounces out, then I bounce out. Or I bounce out, then he bounces out. It just kind of depends on the situation. Problem is, I think I'm the only one who stays up too fucking late. Love no plan. I think no plan just kind of means me. Well, I didn't have a plan, actually. That's a lie. This was not a part of my plan. But streaming is, I love how you interact with one another. We interact with each other just like old friends. And we're just older gentlemen who are friends. That's all it is. We're genuinely off. Okay, so I'm a peel back the curtain. What up, Auntie Chris? Nothing. Gentle friends. I'm gonna peel back the curtain. Some days when we get the chance to stream on Fridays, we get to like have a little powwow and we talk for a minute just to catch up, figure out where everybody's head's at. I express myself. I've been expressing myself to them for like the past couple months, just to no end, because I've just been going through it. Just been going through it mentally, and it's been draining. And they've been my brothers enough that they've been willing to listen to the strife and the agony that I've had, because while there are two sides to each story, they're at least willing to listen to my side, because they can get it. And they're accepting of it, and they're very helpful because they understand my plight, and they can hear me, and they know where I'm coming from. But then there's like issues that boss has, and we'll listen to what issues boss has, because we're like, yeah, man, we're all brothers. And then there's an issue Crip has, and Crip has an issue, and then we're like, yeah, of course, and we listen to his issues, whether it be like personal family stuff, his content creation, his career path. And the same thing goes for boss, where he's like, yo, his fucking career, his job and shit, the way his kids is keeping him up, and it's like, oh man, he loves his wife, but his wife wants him to do all these things, and he's just so tired. And it's like, we get it, man. We all have issues. We all have issues. But at the end of the day, we know we have a fucking bond. And even when we're just like, yo, Crip, we want you to follow up on this. Oh, boss, man, we feel like you play this game so much, maybe you should do that. Oh, Chris, you're doing all these things, but maybe you should save it for the rest of us, some shit. It's a team. We brothers, and we a team. And it works. And I have the same thing with my SFXX group. It's just that some people have their lives that take over their content creation space, and they're not willing to put in the effort, because they just can't. Nothing against them, they just can't. So me and Steve had to reel back, and we're like, we're the only two who could do it, so we're gonna refocus and do it. So when Steve and I get together, it's like we're brothers, but we're also gonna work hard. That's how it is. You're like kicking it with the boys, plus I'm old enough to relate to y'all references. What I've said. It's a real big thing, man. You surround yourself with like-minded people and people who respect you and care for you enough that eventually you start realizing their worth because they know yours. That's exactly what it feels like every time on Friday. Not even just like, we want to make tons of fighting game content. We want to. Of course we do. Like, I'm sure Xrd content's going to come because they're about to finally put rollback out for the 20th. So we'll probably get some offline matches and just start putting them up on YouTube. Whether it be between us or just random people in the lobbies or some shit. Cool. Dope. KOF content comes out this week. Tomorrow even. New patch notes. New character, which I don't have the money for. I actually don't know how much it's going to cost. They haven't given a price. They just said, it'll be out tomorrow. Fucking SNK stupid ass. I hate that shit, by the way. I really, really fucking hate that. It's not on Steam. There isn't any note of how much it's going to cost. There isn't any note of when it's going to come out. And it is fucking frustrating. It's not the point. The point is, we have the idea of content that we're going to do. Like, Friday's going to be us playing KOF. We already know. Last week we didn't have a plan. So we said we'll play Tekken or Mortal Kombat. And we ended up playing Tekken. Mortal Kombat is still on the back burner because people like Mortal Kombat. Do we like Mortal Kombat? To some lesser extent. But people like Mortal Kombat. But we to a point where it's like we know what we should be doing. Fuck no. I'm not going to say fuck no. Because I like MK9. I like MKX. I don't like MK11. MK11 is the one that I think is the most mediocre of them. I think visually it's a fucking spectacle. I think it's a gory, delicious, beautiful game. Story-wise, I think it's not bad. I think it's okay. Even with the DLC, I think it's okay. I think roster-wise, it's better than... I think it's good. I won't say it's better than X, but I think it's good. But gameplay-wise, it's literally has the same flavor as MK2. Whereas MK9 and MKX give you that MK3 like vibe, where it's like, oh shit, this is crazy. Combos are crazy, and you can do so much with like every character. MK11, not so much. But I understand why people like it. It's simplicity. It has the flavor of characters in it. Like MK11 has characters I do love in it. I'm not gonna lie to you. It has Rain. I love Rain. It has Frost in it. I think Frost is cool in that game. It has Spawn. Perfectly fine with that. And then it gets weird. It has Noob Saibot. I love Noob Saibot. And I love the design that they gave him. It has Katana and Jade in it. Love that. Love Scarlet's design in MK11. I want to say I love Devora, but it's kind of it's toss up. There's still just a feeling of like MK11 is really close to being what you want. You have MK11 and never even played it. I think it's good. Like I said, I don't think it's bad. I just think it's not for me. And I feel like that's like me and Boss played it 4 months, 3-4 months back, something like that, maybe 5 at this point. I don't remember when we played it. We were just bullshitting in it, and we were having fun. We were just like, yeah, we're not exceptionally good at the game, but we were doing okay. And it was all right. It wasn't a bad time, but it could have been better. And that's just the way it is. But I love that, like, we had the plan for either Tekken or Mortal Kombat. And we stuck with Tekken. Was I having a great time? Not really. Tekken was beating my ass. When I'm out of practice in Tekken, I feel that shit. I really feel that shit. Tekken is a game that is, if you're trying to be at least substantially good at it, you gotta stick to it. You have to stick to it. Muscle memory is everything, and remembering characters means everything. And it was just like, yeah, we had a good time though. And we love that we get and the best part about those nights that when we stream on Fridays is not only just because we get to play these video games and share our enjoyment of the video games with the people, but like last Friday, we had this long conversation about content creation, meeting up with other creators or meeting up with fans of the creators in a public space, and just the content creation game in general and how people act and how they're like, and here's something I want to actually touch up on, because I was speaking on it because I think Boss brought it up. But it was that sense of, have you ever met somebody that talked online and you know that their online persona is this way, had a chance to meet them in person, they're a completely different person. They can't disconnect from the online world. Their online persona is their online persona, but when they get offline, they're a timid, shy person. They're meek. They're not outgoing. They don't know how to do that. Exactly. And it's one of those things where it's not bad. Some people use this platform to grow as a person. Like I expressed that when I was in high school, you know, as shocking as it may be, I was friends with a lot of people. One dude persistently tried to bully me and just be an annoyance. This wasn't just because it was me. He did this shit to everybody. That motherfucker's also in jail. He's really fucking stupid. I digress. Because of this, because I was trying to be friends with everybody, I was also a little shy. I was very shy and not very outgoing. And I'm still partially shy. Like, I'm not going to lie to you people and say that I'm not. There are still some instances where I have to, like, boost myself up to jump over the hurdle to, like, do things. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me into a bar and be like, yo, I think that chick's eyeing you. I will be so fucking terrified to just talk to somebody in person and be like, not terrified to talk to him, but be terrified to shoot my shot. I hate rejection. I fucking hate it. I don't think anybody likes rejection, but I fucking hate it. Especially, my biggest fear is getting rejected when you weren't even trying to get into the sense of like a relationship. It's like, oh, okay. It's just like, I wasn't even trying to get to that sense. It's like, but the moment I got out of high school, I had a job. I was pushing carts for a Sam's Club. And it was okay. I wasn't talking to many people. I was talking to my coworkers, whatever, because they talked to me. But then I got a job at Hollywood Video, which was like Blockbuster for those who don't know. And that's when my eyes opened and I told myself, you need, for this type of work, especially customer service, you gotta not be so complacent in your bubble. You're gonna need to open up and be at least more expressive and talk to people more. And I did. I ended up talking to people more, and I made it a goal to not be so contained. And I was more expressive. I was more outgoing. I made more friends because of it. And not only did I make more friends, I made more friends that were like me than when I was in high school. My high school was very samey. It was like, oh, everybody loves rap and everybody loves buying Jabot G's and shit. And I was like, it was a cookie cutter formula. And the gamers and the nerds, we were a part of that, but we were like, well, some of us were. We were part of that, but we were like somewhat the outcasts. Somewhat. Like my one homie P Crazy, you know? One of my best friends, love him to death. Love him and his wife. When we were in high school, it's like we were not the atypical person, you know? But we had so much in common. We would kick it all the fucking time. I think because of me, he got heavy into Tekken 5 and The Devil May Cry and Resident Evil 4. Because of him, I became a bigger fan of Metal Gear, a bigger fan of Smash Brothers. Like, we played it a lot. It really goes to show we spend a lot of time. We connected. We listened to a lot of music together. We talked a lot. Played a lot of games together. We kicked it all the time. We're best. We're one of the best friends, and he's a brother to me, and it really means something. But it really goes to say that you have to be willing to crack your shell. And some people use the online scape to help crack their shell. The problem is that they fall back into their comfort zone once they get off the internet. And they get to the point where it's like, yeah, I won't be that way. I won't be that way. But then they do. They always fall back. And meeting new people online is difficult. It really is. It's one of those big challenges and big hurdles because you never know who you're going to meet, what type of person they are. And that's a huge fear to me. There's so many people out there who are genuine and nice to you, and then 6 months down the line, they will stop caring about you the same way you thought they did. And it really upsets you. Because you don't want to be hurt. So you put up your shield. You put up your shield to be into a position of I'm not going to be hurt again. But then that same person is also the person who's actually not hurting you, and you're hurting yourself. You're causing more harm to yourself than you actually want to. I don't know if they're superficial. I think they're as superficial as you let them. I just feel like there's a lot to be made with an online relationship. Especially even with a friendship. Because I'm gonna be totally transparent in this. Totally transparent. Then what's the point? Exactly. I'm gonna let y'all in on the friendship between me and Crip, right? And then it'll transition into me and Boss as well. Because a lot of people in here have been around to see how the three of us interact. Me and Crip were part of Cheese's Crust. We were just friends on there. We were cool. We talked every once in a while. And eventually he was like, hey, Panda, I hear you really like fighting games. I have this idea to play fighting games every Friday, and we just kind of play it and get some people involved every once in a while. Just to get a chance for me to try some new fighting games out and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. I'm down for that. I'm totally down for that. I love fighting games. I'm good at them, so I hope you're understanding that. If I start winning, this is why. He was like, no, I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. In doing so, we got a chance to bond over just the enjoyment of fighting games. We got a chance to bring in people like Tech, people like Push, and then I think it was MK11 or Injustice 1 or 2 where Boss kind of showed up. I don't remember which one it was. But I know me and Crip were getting into this like having fun thing. We were enjoying each other. We were talking more. And me and him started creating like a kind of bond together. And then Crip was like, hey, there's this dude who put up like this video and he's really funny on like Instagram and or Twitter or whatnot. His name's Final Boss. And he played with us. How do you feel about bringing him in? And we talked to him that whole night. And I was like, sure, I don't even remember. And then, and then we did. And he was like, yeah, man, good time, man. Enjoyable time. Boss leaves, and me and Crip like, we might have to invite him back to the next one. And then the next one happened. And then the next one. And then we were all friends. And then we built a big bond. The point I'm trying to make is that initially me and Crip's relationship was very ho-hum. Very ho-hum. And then it became like, yo, I could definitely trust Crip with some information. And I believe things that he's telling me, and I hope that he believes the shit that I'm telling him. And I look to him for guidance as much as I'd hope he looked for me to guidance. And the same sentiment can be stated to Boss. And to be honest with you, the same sentiment could be stated to someone like Push Play the DJ or Technical. You know, these are people that I've met online that I definitely look to for guidance, and I look to as friends, because there was a point where it's like, yeah, we were making all these things together and we were just kind of like associates. But now it's like I'm totally invested into knowing how you're doing outside of just the work. I want to make sure that you're like good on a personal level. And that's not saying anything against like Nikki as well, who's a part of that. You know, Chris, I'm sure you're a part of that as well. It's just we haven't talked as much outside of this as we probably should, you know. But it's like I look to so many people online, and it's like it's really hard to pinpoint everybody, obviously, because there's a lot of people. But I could probably fucking cry right now. I have not felt so good to be amongst a set of peers that have my back. You really do meet some good people, man. Some really, really, really good people. And sometimes those people that are good, you don't want to get rid of them. You don't want to lead them astray. And what's even worse is when you get outcasted and you know that they shouldn't have been outcasted. You ever do a decision and regret it instantly? I have. Exactly, said. 100%. And I appreciate that, Nikki. I really do. I feel like I am never going to be mentally okay. All I can do is mentally get better. You know? That's all of us can do. That's all any of us can do. You know? Like I did actually shed a tear there. Because it's really difficult to view life for what it is. Like I've had a friend who committed suicide. I've had a friend who died due to heart complications, just randomly, and they were much younger than I am. I had a friend die to a game of Russian roulette. I've had family die consistently for health issues. I've had pets die. And even just as bad, I know this may not mean anything to you guys, but my grandmother, who was like another huge role model in my life, passed away when I was in like 3rd grade in our home due to cancer. And my mind didn't understand death, and I got to see her literally change from a certain person into a different person because of lung cancer. And that has always stuck with me. I still have the mental picture in my mind of going to meet her in her family den, and she was not the same person that I remember seeing her literally 3 months ago. And it was rough. And it's always been rough. And I always tell people that I understand what you're going through, because I've lived these experiences a lot. I've been woken up by somebody hitting my dog with a car in the middle of the night, pouring rain like a goddamn movie, because he got out from our backyard. There's nothing more in my mind and in my heart than going through so much death. Auntie Chris, I know you know. I know you definitely know. And I've gone through so much so that I want to live my life to the fullest. And I want to live with no regrets. But sometimes you have regrettable things that happen. And when you want to make amends, it's just something that sits in your mind. And as difficult as it is to move on, it's always persistent. It's always there. It's effervescent. And you get afraid that you'll never be able to get back the good that was there. It doesn't have to be exactly quite the same, but the good should always be there. I really hate when people are like, I love being petty. I love being spiteful and filled with rage. Because no, you don't. No, you don't. You just put up a barrier to do that shit. You put up a barrier so that you don't have to deal with the negative emotions that come with it and persist with it in your heart. Because truth be told, nobody should want to feel bad. Exactly, Auntie Chris. It's a very good point to make. And I love to repeat it. You're to the point where I live my life as if it's the last day I'm on this earth. Everything gets maximum effort, and every action is a reflection of the legacy I leave behind. I can't stress enough how important that is to realize your actions have consequences. Being Lurk Nowitzki, it's fine. How much your actions have consequences, and feeling like things are what they are for the sake of them being exactly what they are. They don't have to be. They don't have to be, and they shouldn't be. There should not be an instance where I make regrettable decision after regrettable decision. Because I don't make normally regrettable decisions. I just don't. But sometimes it happens. Sometimes we do things that we wish we didn't. And sometimes we wish things were different. Because truth be told, it's like, we're not going to have, once you do something and commit to it, it's done. I wish I didn't talk to certain people during certain instances, because I knew that they could come back to haunt me, but I still did it. I did it because I wasn't afraid. But I know that me having no fear is just a vulnerability and a weakness for somebody to exploit onto someone else. But it really, like, puts shit in perspective, man. It's like, why sit there and neglect everything that you've built up to live a life with negativity and hate? There's no sense in doing it. I was just in pain. Yeah. It happens. It's really bad. It's really, really, really bad. This is why certain people don't think about certain stuff like that. You deal with so much hurt and pain that you start affecting those around you, and it really goes to show, and you start kicking and screaming and pushing in such negative directions at the people around you that it makes matters so much worse for you, until it bottles up and it beats you up. And you don't have to do that. You don't have to sit there and think to yourself, why am I so abusive internally that I'm spreading the abuse onto people around me? It's the fear. It's 100% the fear that you have. And sometimes you may not even think of it as abuse. Like, truth be told, if you were to mentally abuse somebody and then think that they mentally abused you or did something wrong to you, but then somebody, even an outside source comes to you and says, you mentally abused them, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. You'd be like, how? You would question it. You would detest it, because you're like, I was the one who was abused. And then they would put in perspective. And I'm like, you literally didn't do this and didn't do that. But then you'd have an opposite side of the story. And I'm like, I get that. But even still, they were doing it out of concern, or doing this out of... There's always two sides to each story. There's always something to be said where it's like a person could be this way and not realize they're doing bad. But it also puts in perspective. Sometimes it's the company you keep. Like said, a tight circle is hard to break. But if your circle is always fluctuating and it's always as loose as you possibly think it is, or someone's gonna have to educate me. What do you call it when circles overlap? It's a math thing. It's when like one circle goes here and there's a circle in the other, and then they have like the middle, a Venn. Thank you. A Venn diagram. Thank you. Brain could not think of what it was called for some reason. If your circle of friends is like a Venn diagram, where you have multiple different circles, and then you want to try to interweave them, there could be a catastrophe. You have two different points, or you have multiple circles and you have multiple different points. Like, say I have a circle of friends that I only interact with, which is boss, and then I take that circle of friends that I only interact with boss and start interacting with people with Nikki, and then I take that circle of friends that I've had with Nikki and then I interacted with people with just Steve. And then somehow I try to get all of them to link up, but then they start hating, or they start putting their inputs, and they start feeling like they should intercept and do all these things for other reasons. The problem is nobody has been in the same circle for long enough to start giving valuable, meaningful input. The only constant is you, but there's always a bazillion variables. So then say, okay, I just started becoming friends with somebody else. Not like, oh, you weren't friends before, but like bigger friends with somebody. So then you start getting your tiny little circle, and then the circle becomes bigger because those tiny circle friends start introducing people to your new friend circle, and you're just like, oh, we're friends, ha 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 ha, we do this, ha ha ha. And then next thing you know, your circles become a little big. Makes sense. Whatever. And then you start giving them information. Start giving them information to life outside of that circle. They don't know life outside of that circle. Your life outside of that circle, I should say. But they do know you. They know you, and they want to do whatever is in their heart to make you happy. So they go forth and they just say whatever makes you happy. As a result, you have a construed vision, because now you have this loose, wobbly circle giving you information. Meanwhile, you have a tighter circle that you formed because it's been there for some time now. Let's say the wobbly circle is like 4 months. It's still trying to get its shape together, and because they keep putting integers in there and little new things in there, it's not fully forming as tight as it should be. You can see it as a circle, but it's not quite a circle yet. Meanwhile, this tight circle that you've built a bond with up for like a year or so is there. You're aware of it being there, and you're slightly putting the issue right into it so that you can be there but not ask anything. Who's going to feed you the better information? Who's going to make sure the ride isn't as bumpy? The smooth circle. But what are you more in? The wobbly circle. So when you're in a circle that has your best interests at heart because they care about you, but they don't know everything about you, it makes the rocky road of life harder for you. You still see it as a circle, and it's going well until it stops going well. Meanwhile, that smooth circle is still going to keep going because you were barely in it to begin with, because you chose not to be in it. You chose to separate from it. You were in it before. You were in it perfectly fine, and the circle was like, got a little rocky because it was letting you in, but it started to smooth out. Because there was trust there and a respect. But then you started feeling like there wasn't. You wanted to be your own distant circle maker. And then the 2 points just didn't connect as well as you hoped. This is life. This is the life that we live. We instead of like accepting friendships or circles, we try to be the best person for as many people possible. And sometimes that's not what's needed. Sometimes we look and we're like, oh shit, there is X amount of people here, and there's Y amount of people here. And what happens is you don't respect the people in each circle enough, so you end up disrespecting yourself more as a result. This is life. This is life as we know it, because you have to have self-respect before you can start giving respect to others. And you can say you have self-respect, but I guarantee a lot of us don't have the self-respect that we need before we can give the respect to others. It takes a really big bond for you to understand your self-worth before you can start expressing it to others. And sometimes you just let people in and hope that it'll like ease over, and it can. Sometimes it can. And sometimes you're just doing it to subvert the expectations that you've had in the past and the feelings that you've had in the past, to the point where it's not exactly to the point where you want it to be. And it makes life smoother, but not. Like I said, if your pathway is on this straight line, going this route, and then it gets a little rocky, and you know how to fix it, but you choose not to fix it. So what you do is you subvert and go to a different path. And that path is smooth. There is nothing saying that you can't go back to that rocky path again. Because that doesn't mean that even though it was smooth at first, it's not going to get rocky. The problem is life gets rocky. You just have to know how to patch that rockiness. We're all on a distance and a path that we need to travel. But the problem is the path that we need to travel is never perfect. Nobody has a perfect path travel. Even the wealthiest people don't have a perfect path travel. They're only wealthy because they want to consistently stay wealthy. The problem is people love the idea of like, oh, I'm going to get rich quick scheme, or I'm going to be happy immediately scheme. But they don't want to put the work in. And that's what happens. And when the work comes, you get lazy, you get complacent, and you don't want to you don't have the drive to continue it. What's the answer to life? You want my answer, or do you want the actual answer to life, Derek? Because the answer to life is 42. If you want my answer to life, it's tough. It's 41. I'm pretty sure it's 42. I'm pretty sure it's 42. The answer to life, the universe, and everything.
Of course, to have known what the actual question was.
But it was the question. The ultimate question.
Hold on. I can do this. Oh my god, display capture. Can you please not display the monitor that's not fucking, you idiot?
Doesn't matter, we must know. Deep thoughts. Deep thoughts. Do you have
An answer for you? Yes, but you're not going to like it.
It doesn't matter, we must know it.
All right. The answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is... "42. Yes, I thought it over quite thoroughly. It is, it's 42. It would have been simpler, of course, to have known what the actual question was.
But it was the question. The ultimate question. Of everything.
That's not a question. Only when you know the question will you know what the answer means.
Give us the ultimate question then.
I can't, but there is one who can. A computer that will calculate the ultimate question. A computer of such infinite complexity that life
why,
itself will form part of its operational matrix. And you yourselves shall take on new, more primitive forms and go down into the computer to navigate its 10 million year program.
So yeah, the answer to life is 42. Anywho, just checking, cleaning and adulting. Yeah. Laura says 42, but I said 40. I just finally read it. Derek, the stream is going. I didn't have a plan because yesterday we played Icon and Icon was terrible. And then it crashed and then the save didn't save. So I was just like, we're done with this bad fucking game. But I've just been having like an introspective, deep thought sort of like stream where it's kind of just me just talking. Just because it's like you just want to be so vague. Like y'all have no idea how much I just want to like slander people. I don't want to slander nobody. I actually really don't. I just want answers. I want answers as much as anybody wants answers. You know? Life has so many questions that you just don't know what you get from it. And you just go on hoping that eventually you'll get the answers you seek. And in actuality, you may never get the answers you seek. It's just fucking rough because you know that while there's good, there's also bad. But the good can oftentimes outweigh the bad. But the bad feels heavy. And at the same time, the bad is only as bad as you make it. Or as bad as somebody may tell you it is. That makes sense? Sometimes perspective is only gained from others' opinions. That's me with streaming. I've been streaming for 2 years and I get so tired that I just abandon it sometimes. People didn't even know that I had streamed for the long time and that I'm still not an affiliate. Nikki, let me tell you about that. Let me tell you about that. Streaming is something that takes effort. It takes a lot of effort, because you have to put in so much. And that's not just saying it on Twitch. It's the same thing if you're doing it on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. It takes effort. Sometimes you can get away with doing the easy route. Show a little titty. You know, you a good looking woman. Show a little titty. Show a little ass. Do that shit over social media if you feel comfortable doing that. I cannot stress this enough. I never want people to be like, I'm broke, I'm gonna make an OnlyFans. And just start literally fucking doing DJ Hero down there. You know what I'm saying? I don't want people to do that because they feel like that's the end all be all. Because the problem with OnlyFans is you could create an OnlyFans. Once you create it, then what? I'm not just saying Nikki, I'm saying in general. Once you create an OnlyFans, then what? That is where the extra work comes in. You have to go to social media. You have to promote yourself. You have to connect with people. You have to literally give people a reason to want to sub to your OnlyFans. Then once they have subbed, you want to give them a reason to continue subbing. OnlyFans is just as much work as streaming, if not more. Because yes, you're a sex worker in some way, shape, or form. You could literally just be showing feet on that motherfucker. It's a real big thing. I mean that shit. My homie literally said he got a friend and she sells feet and made like $50K in a month. Makes sense. End of the year taxes probably about to be a bitch. But you know what? I did it. And the thing that I can't stress enough is that as a result, you still have to put in a lot of work. It still takes effort. It's still more than just, I'm just gonna show you the greatest clips of the 80s, 90s, and today. You have to like put in the work. Streaming. Some people just come on Twitch, go live, and get pissed. This is something that I had to explain to kids when I worked at GameStop. Yeah, I want to stream. Okay, cool. Yeah, here's $200 for this Elgato. I'm like, do you have a computer that works with it? What do you mean? Okay, what is your computer specs? I don't know, I have an HP laptop. You ain't buying this. I literally take it away from kids. I've turned down so many children and their stupid parents because they don't understand anything about it. Nobody has actually properly done the research or know the tech that goes behind streaming because they think that they can just do it. Or even worse, here's a funny story. When I worked at GameStop, some woman came in and was like, yeah, my son wants to get into streaming, but I don't know where to get him started. He told me he's going to need another monitor in order to get streaming started and something extra. Can't fully remember. And I was like, ma'am, your son's lying to you. Or your son doesn't know what he's telling you. And literally it was, your son wanted an extra monitor just to put chat up on screen. You can use an iPad. You can use a phone. Hell, you can use the streaming app that's on your console. I was like, what does he have? PS4. What's he going to stream from? PS4. I was like, cool. There's a whole application set up for streaming on PS4 that he can literally set it up, stream from it, get to going, and eventually when he gets a number following, maybe you want to invest. There's so many people that have no followers whatsoever. And they're like, I'm going to jump into streaming and I'm about to make 10 grand. Fuck out of here with your stupid ass. Listen here. I'm so sick of that ideology that people get boosted up from this fucking platform that they can go on here, make tons of money, be wealthy, and be the next Mr. Beast or some shit like that. Or the next XQC or Kai Cenat. Fuck out of here. You're nothing. You're nothing. You've come from nothing and you will be nothing. And the reason I say that is because you don't have the wherewithal to make an actual plan for yourself. You know what happened when I came on here? I came on Twitch with a plan to actually benefit from those around me. And guess what? It didn't work. I got on here because Big Cheese and my friends in Jesus Christ were like, you should stream. And I was like, I don't know if I can. I did not have the equipment that I have now. I didn't have the resources necessary. I didn't know what a setup was. I didn't understand how streaming worked. but they were like, you should do it. I did it, and it was weird, and I still didn't understand it. I had issue after issue, and nobody explained anything to me because nobody was actually going to help me in that fucking group. That's just what happened. They expected me to know everything, but I'm like, I don't know everything. And then eventually I did. I did get to know everything. I went out of my way to learn instead of investing time with the people around me. There's something to be said that in order to keep the stream and the idea of streaming going is that you have to kind of put in the effort yourself as much as you have to put in the effort everywhere else. Streaming is just as much a job as going to Walmart every day and being a fucking door greeter. Streaming is just as much a job as it is going to McDonald's and flipping fucking patties. Streaming is somehow even fucking worse. You know why? Because as a content creator, my biggest ask is that I ask you all to invest your hard-earned money into me. What does that mean, Chris? Some of you have Twitch Prime, Amazon Prime. You could sub to me for free. And guess who would appreciate the fuck out of that? Me. Is it the end-all be-all? No. But I would love it. If you got $5, throw a sub my way. You get a bunch of sub emotes, and I appreciate it. And you're supposed to get no ads. But guess what you still get? Fucking ads. Because this platform is stupid. So what do I ask you to do instead? You can go to my Ko-fi. You can tip me directly. Any of these support me to continue to give you nothing but content. So what happens after that? You start getting into a better space mentally to make content. And then you say, Twitch isn't the end all be all, but how do I grow so that I can start gaining more monetary value? You then tell yourself, oh, I have to diversify my portfolio, and I got to start going to other places. So you start putting your content on Twitch, you start putting your content on Twitter, then you start putting your content on Instagram, and then on TikTok, and then on YouTube, and then you start going everywhere. And then eventually you start getting to a point where you're like, I need to go to Reddit and start talking more on Reddit. I ain't even done that threshold yet because I'm still trying to get everywhere else. I'm trying to climb the ladder of everywhere else. There's so many avenues now that trying to get to that point where we're at in this land space where streaming is as easy as turning on your fucking Xbox or PlayStation, that it's difficult. There's a streamers are a dime a dozen. It takes real fucking streamers, real passion, real care, real energy, real charisma, real just creativity. How many streamers are you coming on their Twitch and they have a whole aesthetic of fucking being on fire? Very little. How many VTubers are you seeing? Because it's so much easier to pay somebody to make a fucking cartoon of yourself to look like some anime bitch. A bazillion. It's easy. It's easy nowadays. Even worse, or even better, some people don't put a camera on. So they just stream to nothing. The problem is there's no relatability and there's no personability. So now it becomes even harder for you to grow. Doesn't mean you can't. It's just difficult. And I'm not saying that because like last night I went to Dimples 216 stream. Love Dimples. I think she's great. I've known her for 2 years, something like that. Year and a half, 2 years. I can't remember at this point. But I've been coming in and out of her stream frequently. She doesn't use a cam when she plays. She's got like 40, 50 people. You know why? Because she's a great person. She's a great person. And I'm like, doesn't mean that you can't do the same. It's just difficult. So let me read chat because there's thing. Humble beginnings. I started streaming from my PS4 and a goal to bring people together over gaming. I think that's a good dream. Starting on PS4 or Xbox is literally how I tell people every time. Unless you just have a computer. If you just have a computer, then I mean you're halfway there. It's like, okay, cool. Like, I have 2 computers. I have 2 computers for 2 reasons. So, the streaming computer, the computer that I stream from, that outputs my stream so that my games look always perfectly fine. I got this computer with money from college. So it's out of date. It's a little out of date. It could use a substantial upgrade. But it does get the job done and I can still edit on it without any issues. It has a Ryzen 1700X or something like that, I think, in it. Like 32 gigs of RAM and a 1076 guy, whatever the highest 1070 is. It's a lovely computer. It's just a little out of date. Granted, Granted, if I wasn't using it for that, I could play games on this thing. Not all of them to the highest level either, but I can play games on it. Then there's my gaming computer, which is behind this monitor right here. That gaming computer is basically an extension of the computer that I've had for years, because there's always been something that I needed updating. And thanks to Captain Twaz, if you guys never have seen anything that Twaz has done, he's made art for, he's done like stream intros and arts for people like Big Cheese and Tim the Tatman and Dr. Lupo. And he's fantastic. Great guy. I was playing a game of Warzone one night with .cr Tatau, and he was like, if you guys win the next game, I'll donate $1,000 to 3. We're like, okay, whatever. So we won. And I got $300. And I'm like, oh shit. Like $330 or something like that. I'm like, oh shit. And then Tao was like, yeah, just send mine to Panda, because he didn't need it. And I was like, oh shit. So I was able to upgrade my computer. My roommate gave me a 28er Super as a birthday gift at one point. I don't remember if it was birthday or Christmas, but I remember getting it and I was like shocked. I was like, holy shit. So that computer got a new case, new RAM, new motherboard, and a better processor than what it was in it before. And an SSD so it could run smoother. So now that computer is great. It has an i7 9900K, I think, in it, 32 gigs of RAM and a 2080 Super. Obviously, it handles my games very well. It could go bigger. It could go better. But I love it. I love it, and I'm thankful because I got to a position where I've been blessed to meet people who are willing to help me. And Dot has been in a very interesting space, but I've been wanting to play with Dot for a while now. But Dot has not really liked Warzone 2, and neither have I. I mean, I like it, but I don't like it that much. And it's like, yeah, we're kind of like indifferent on where we should meet each other. And obviously, Ta's the homie, so. This is with me and my PS5 and with sound issues. And then my headset went on. I was like, well, never mind. Silent streaming it is. And that's fucked up. And what's fucked up is that I like streaming, but I keep hindering myself from doing it. So my Ninja Panda is willing to help me with it. So, Nikki, I'm going to tell you that I wouldn't mind helping you with it either. I really don't. Obviously, I've helped a lot of people. Like, if you've been to Foxy Steve's stream, and I'm not just saying to you, but I mean everybody that's in here, his whole visual aesthetic, I did that for him. The FNS, I did that. The logo with the fox that comes down the bottom, I did that. I literally have gone out of my way to make sure he has a visual aesthetic for his stream to help him out. And I'm always willing to like give my knowledge and information out, because I've been in this position where people don't know what they need to do. And they're trying to figure it out. I have tech issues to this day, and my shit is simple. I try to keep my stream fucking simple, because if I go any further, it's gonna make things really fucking hard. That's why I was like, I love seeing shit like what fucking Boss does. I love seeing shit like Crypt does, where he has like the freezing frame, or it makes the GIF where it's like, oh, you know what I'm saying? I love that shit. But it does cause more strain on your computer. Whereas like something like what Nikki's doing, it's like, yeah, it's just probably just a simple fix. Easy fix, you know. And you'll get there. But anything willing to help anybody, you know, it could be a bitrate issue, it could be issue with the PCIe lanes, it could be just not enough bandwidth for everything that you're trying to do. There's always something that could be wrong. It just takes testing, perseverance, and patience. Which is why it's like whenever somebody has an issue, if I care enough for you, I'll do what I can. You know what I'm saying? I'm very patient. I'm very patient. You have an issue where, oh man, I can't play this game because it's really fucked. Oh yeah, you can just put a new GPU in. Oh, I got one. What's the issue? Oh, I don't have the right things because I didn't build this and I don't know what I'm doing. I don't mind helping. We'll figure it out together. Oh, something's wrong with the internet. We'll figure it out. I know people. I can figure it out. I can talk to the people around me that'll help figure it out. Don't deter yourself. Don't feel like you're a burden. Don't feel like you're doing anything wrong. If you need help, Everybody needs help. It's just how life is. And for you, Nikki, luckily your mic's just dead. So it's a really simple fix for you. Hopefully. Because, I mean, we could literally find the answer so much quicker than you would be willing to admit. Okay. Whenever you actually have the free time to do it. Well, whenever we both have the free time to do it. Because for all you know, Derek, it could be your bit rate. It would literally need to be what's your PC specs that you're streaming OBS from. And then and then approaching it from there. And then of course, like your speed tests and everything like that. Because OBS is a bitch, man. I'm fortunate enough to have fiber internet. You know, I have fiber internet, so luckily I can push my shit out really easily. Like I don't think it'll show it. Yep, my kilobytes per second is roughly 6,000, which is why I can make my stream look as good as it can. But I'm also only running the stream off this computer, and I guess Spotify, and I guess Google Chrome. Mind you, probably shouldn't be doing Google Chrome. Google Chrome takes up a lot of resources, but I'd rather use Google Chrome than, what is this thing? Microsoft Edge or anything else. Yeah, the fact that I hate the fact that fiber isn't available everywhere. It's really, really frustrating to me. But sometimes it takes work for it to get to certain places, so it makes sense. But I've learned enough that, because I really wish I had the clip. I don't remember. I think it was a Blaze Blue clip. And this was literally last year. Played Blaze Blue with memes and Boss. And it looked like dog shit. Straight up dog shit. And I was like, why does it look so bad and grainy? For some reason, OBS reset and my bitrate dropped down to 2500. And it was still trying to push it out at 1080p. So every color was just getting mashed and mangled. And I was just like, oh, this is fucking bad. It's so bad. Gross. I hate it. Ugh. And it was really upsetting. Because I know that it probably could have not been that. But I didn't know why the bitrate went down. My OBS updated. And then it literally reset all the settings. So I was just like, shit, this is bad. And it's just bad because sometimes you just don't know. Much like life, you just don't know. Sometimes things happen and you just are unaware of what's happening because nobody tells you what happens. It's up to you to discover what's happening. Because sometimes people think they have the answers. They think they know what the cause is. They feel like they know why you're doing this or doing that. But in actuality, the answer isn't as cut and dry as it should be. The answer is completely put into place where it's like, I never know why it's doing this. Because you just don't know. You get really confused and then you hope for the best. And I feel like that's the thing that always has irked me so much, is that we expect to know everything, and then when somebody gives us some piece of information, we hold to it too much, and it makes us look worse for it. Like, they say word is bond, you know, which means you need to hold on to it. You need to really hinder the word of somebody. But sometimes you listen to too many different words and you stop listening to every word. And as a result, it makes everything worse. It's just really bad. But you know what? What can you do? it's the thing with like the internet. Sometimes you go on the internet and you feel like you're getting a sense of trust and a sense of like understanding or help, and in actuality you're getting fed false information. Like, you know how many people would love to say that I am not the person I am? You know how many people would love to say that shit just without any justification? They just do that shit. They do that shit and then they just think, oh, ha ha ha, we're doing that, and that's how it is. But in actuality, it's like, you could just ask me. I don't have any reason to lie. I don't have nothing to lie about. What do I have to gain for lying? I have nothing to gain. I have literally nothing to gain. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters to me is making sure that the people think that I'm genuine, because I am genuine. I've been lied to enough in my past. There's no reason for me to lie anymore. You know? That's just who I am. I give people the straight up and exactly like how it is. Some people don't like it. Some people appreciate it more than anything. But at the end of the day, it's like you're only gonna believe as much as you're willing to let believe. Or you had such a thought process in your mind where you felt like it wasn't the way it should be all along. And because of that, you put yourself into a shoot. You worked yourself over, and now you're just like stuck. And I feel like that's the biggest like far cry for a lot of people, myself, for others. And it's like, if you've ever been around a person long enough and then you start seeing changes in them and changes around them, and you start to question certain things, and it isn't because you question who they were or who they are, but because you're nervous, because you set up an identity of what the could-be's are, that you get afraid. You know? Has there ever been an instance where, like, and this is just a general chat thing, and feel free to say something, or don't, you know, it's fine, where you're doing something with someone and you have full trust of them, but they could be associating themselves with somebody who you deem as untrustworthy, but they deem as trustworthy. So you lead to believe them, but you know that no matter what, the person's actions are probably something that you don't believe in. And sometimes it's really hard to believe certain shit because it's like, what are you gonna do? It's just rough. Life is fucking weird. That's all I can say, man. Life is fucking weird. Life is so weird. I hate it. I hate emotions. I hate life. If I don't come on the stream tomorrow, you know why. I'm baking cookies. No, I'm kidding. Nah, but I think, you know what? I think today was super chill. I mean, it wasn't chill because it was a lot of me like discussing life and its problems and me venting for 2 hours. But sometimes you just have to come on here and just talk. And I really love hearing chat's problems. I would love it if I do this every Monday and I just say, yo, we're about to have a mental Monday. Mental motivational Monday. You know what I mean? What up, LT? Where I want to hear your problems and I want to talk to every person and be like, yo, what's your issue? And let me tell you my mindset is, but as best as I can be, relatability wise, you know, where I want you to come in and I want you to tell me what's on your mind. Let me pick your brain and be like, yo, this is where I'm at. Let me tell you how to like move forward and how you can be the better person that you should be and want to be. Cause it's like, I'm there, you know, I'm always in need of like an ear. Because when I tell like some of my closest friends what's going on, they're just like, whew, some of them are sick of hearing it. Some of them don't know how to deal with it. And some of them are so behind my back that they just like, no matter what it is, we got you, and that's it. And this will be fine because obviously if you haven't read the stream title, No Plan Monday, I guess, right? 6-365. I'm streaming every day this year. Every single day, to some way, shape, or form, some capacity. Whether the stream may be an hour, maybe 3 hours, maybe 4 hours, who knows? I don't expect to stream for like 10, 12 hours or some shit like that. Unless I'm doing like a charity marathon or some sort of like subathon or whoa. But it's like I want more interaction, engagement. I want more conversation to be had, because I know that everybody needs to talk, man. Everybody needs to be able to talk and get these motivational words and like these affirmations to tell them that they're into a better position, and that we could be the best that we could be, that we could be better than what we are, that everybody thinks negatively, or that they think that they can't do something, but in actuality, you guys can do whatever the fuck you want. You know how many people I know around me that feel like they just downplay themselves, but in actuality, they could be the best person that they could be? I've met so many people that say that, yeah, I want to do this, but they never put out the drive to do so. But I believe that they can. I see potential in every single person. They just have to see that potential themselves. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a fucking rocket science, but I am a person who has been around a lot. I'm a person who has seen his fair share of shit, and who knows that, you know what, things could be better, they could be worse. But at the end of the day, it's like you have to make the most of the life that you've been given, and you have to seize the moment more often than not. Like right now, my moment is that I'm trying to take this career that I'm doing of making content and flipping it into a career for like a potential company. Somebody be like, oh man, I love that so many people come to you, Chris, and they're just like, we love who you are. You know what I'm saying? That's a genuine fucking feeling. It's a good fucking feeling. It's a great feeling even. Because so many people need a ray of positivity. I need a ray of positivity. Sometimes I may come on here and I just may be wanting to vent because I just want somebody to tell me it'll be all right, Chris. You know? I don't have the support system of like a family to the moment I turn off the stream. I got a loving wife that I can kiss and move forward, and I got 2-3 kids that I can be like, oh, come here, little Bobby. Daddy loves you. No, I don't have that. I really don't have that fucking feeling. Like, and this is something that I'm not like knocking like RP Genius for, because I love Mo. I think Mo is one of the most enjoyable, entertaining streamers. I think that he is one of the, no lie, most relatable streamers in my opinion. And when I watch RP Genius stream, I'm just like, yo, he gives me this sense that I'm kicking it with a person. It's not a stream, I'm just kicking it with somebody. That's what I fucking love. You know what I hate? I hate going into a stream and people are like phony. I fucking can't stand it. Yeah. Because there's not a lot of people who do that. You know? Like, he does like a lot of music and I love that. But there aren't a lot of people who just want to like talk and like reaffirm to people that, you know what, it can be alright. And it will be alright. You know? Sometimes watching a video game is therapeutic. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, even though that's therapeutic, are you actually feeling the sense of therapy that comes from entertainment? Or are you just telling yourself that it's the therapy that you need? You know what I mean? There's something to be said and to be had about like, oh yeah, you know, I come in and I watch the stream and, you know, it feels like a great release to my day. And then in actuality, you go back to laughing like, I hate my life and I really wish I was feeling better. I'm so down now. Oh my God. It's really upsetting because that's just the way we live as a society. We don't, some of us don't know how to handle our interactions with life and everything beyond that. That the moment we step away from something, we're still riddled with anxiety. We're still riddled with fear and riddled with neglect and disappointment and sadness. But it's like, it can change. It can change. And it will change. It'll change if you want it to change. And I stand by that. I really do stand by that, because there's so many instances where it's like, this year moving forward was like, this is the wake up call I kind of needed. I didn't want anything to happen the way this year has happened so far, but I needed this to happen. I needed this to happen because I needed a drive. I needed a drive this year. You know, like, I still want to find like 9 to 5 work, and then the 365 stream thing is going to be really rough, but I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to do it. That's a commitment that I've made to myself. Some people don't have that commitment to do this. They just want to live life and hope that it just pans out and works well for them. But that's where it like gets rough. Like, it's where it gets really rough. You just want to live day by day. You're just coasting and then hoping things will pan out. But in actuality, nothing pans out. Nothing actually goes as expected, and you don't ever grow from it as a result. You just hope that you grow from it. You sit there and you're complacent, and then nothing happens, so you just get upset at your actions. You never want to be bigger than what you were, because nobody has told you you can be bigger than what you were. So I want you to do this. Here's my homework for everybody that's listening. Think back to all the conversations you've had with all the people in your life, all the close people, not just family, but like friends. If there's been someone in your life that tells you that you can be more or be better than what you're doing, or that they believe in you, keep them close. Keep them close. Keep those people that want you to be better than what you think you are. Keep them close. Don't ever think that those people don't have your best interest at heart. It is not some fair weather comment to say that they have, oh yeah, I want you to be the best you that you can be. No, some people just say that, and some people don't mean it. And then some people proactively mean it. And some people say that shit and they give you things that you could do to make better yourself. It's up to you to take their advice, to make it your advice to be better. Like, that's the life we live. That's the life we live, and that's how we should live. We should live with a sense of gratification for the people around us that shows nothing but respect. We are our own worst enemies. But if we allow the people in our lives that want to see us grow, we should not deter that from happening. And if you ever feel like you have a sense of doubt in those people, remember to those times. Ask them again. Ask them over and over and over again. And if they tell you they're sick of getting this question, then maybe, just maybe, they don't care as much as they say they do. Maybe they're just saying what they want to hear because they had a goal in mind. But I'm giving game right now. I'm giving game that some people ain't ready to fucking hear. And the worst part is some people will take this and use it as an exploit. Because there are fucking truly vindictive and bad people out there who will take your weakness, flip it around, and turn it into their positive. There are people out there who will literally see that you have a fault, you have a crack in your system right now, and they can heal it, but they can damage it as quickly as they healed it. Because they don't care about healing it properly. They put a Band-Aid over it. Imagine if somebody took the Liberty Bell and said, yeah, let's just put a Band-Aid over this bitch. It'll fix it. They were like, cool. Did it fix it? Sure. You can't see the crack no more. But it's still there. Now imagine somebody was like, yeah, let's take this Liberty Bell. Oh, there's a crack in it. All right, let's weld it together. Let's mold some metal. Let's fix it up. Let's fill in the crack, putty it up, make sure that it gets smoothed out, sanded down, come back bigger and stronger than ever. So now it's not just an iconic symbol, but it's a fully functioning bell. One, it wouldn't be the Liberty Bell anymore. It'd just be a big fucking bell. But two, the point is, that bell wouldn't have a crack in it anymore. That bell would be A1. You could look at that bell and be like, damn, that bell is just fantastic. That's your heart. That's your heart, and that's your life. That is just how life is. You know? Sometimes we literally do this shit. It's just what it is. We put ourselves in this situation because we know how we are, what we are, and where we could go and where we come from. And the biggest thing that I could say is that I don't know. Like, I'm sorry. You know? Of course I'm sorry. But I know that not only am I sorry for everything bad, I mean it, you know? Because some people aren't willing to admit their faults. Some people aren't willing to take accountability for their actions. Some people aren't willing to apologize for anything that's happened. But I know who I am, I know what I am, and I know that I've done some things that some people may not agree with or may not like. But it doesn't mean that that's what I wanted. I just did it because it was a gut reaction. But I knew that I needed it as much as maybe somebody else did. That's just a time thing. That's just what it is. But it doesn't mean it can't change. It means that literally every one of us could be bigger and better than what we were before. We just have to accept it, move on, and try to adjust accordingly as a result. So that's pretty much where I feel like I want to leave today. I really, really appreciate everybody that came through today. The stream started out really small, really low. You know, it is what it is. I'm not gonna be like, oh, how dare you not show up when I start the stream, you bastards. No. If you like the stream, be sure like, comment, share, subscribe, whatever on YouTube. Hit up my YouTube, by the way. And then hit up any of my socials as well, where you can see clips, highlights. This stream will be put up in full on YouTube tomorrow morning. So I want you to take it as you need to motivate yourself to be bigger and better than what you are each day. I think every Monday is going to be Motivational Monday, where I'm going to talk for a little bit about the week, how I'm going to get better. And then I want to, if you guys feel so inclined, because I know there's some lurkers in here, but I want people to come in and tell me their emotions, their feelings, their vibes, and let's talk it out like a community. Let's literally put into our mindset of like, how do we help one another, you know? How do we better each other? How do we become better? How do we make ourselves the better versions that we want to become? Because I know we can, and I know you want to. I know you listening right now is like, I do want to be better, and I can be better, and I will be better. So let's do that. If I got to help you, if some random dude on the internet who you haven't had a whole lot of investment into has to help you, so be it. So yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna raid Dimples. She's actually online when I'm online, which is like a shock. So obviously I feel like it's the perfect way to kind of like go and transition into somebody. Dimples is a dope content creator who lives in the Midwest as well. She's playing Splatoon right now, and she's extremely nice. So if you have not seen Dimples, she's super cool. And yeah, it's a perfect time for me to get up and go and find some food. So you guys take it easy. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow will be an actual stream. Tomorrow I may start some speed runs. I may do like TMNT. I may do some fighting game speed runs. We'll kind of figure that out on the stream, but I have it set up. I mean, I'm serious. Look at this. Well, one, let's stop looking at that. Bam. Let's look at that. Bam. Look at that. We got the time. We're ready. But either way, we're gonna do that. We're gonna look into maybe getting some speed runs back. I want to get my name up on them leaderboards, y'all. Gotta get my name up on the boards, baby. We're gonna do that, and then we're gonna have fun. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow. I'll see you. Peace.